this is a debate about trade. Trade is more than just about the buying and selling of microwaves. It's about exchanging ideas, culture, values, and building strong relationships. Although you need to really buy and sell lots of microwaves in order to do that. Free trade agreements are all of these things supercharged, right? And they're usually controversial for the smaller countries that are involved, not so much the bigger ones, because they're worried about swamped and being destroyed over. But the context particularly that makes the US worried about this is the poor global economic financial situation. That means a lot of people have lost jobs to smaller countries, are really worried about having more trade. But also it's good to remember that this is a long-term concern, right? A long-term concern on the left, a long-term concern of the unions. So, a long-term concern of people like Bernie Sanders, right? So it's not a new thing. It is a strong ideological thing where people worry or people believe that it's better in the long term to have jobs localized rather than pushed and transported overseas. So on the benefits end, you are thinking about the long term, about the growth, about specialization. And on the benefits end, you argue for growth, creating more jobs in the US, more jobs overseas, and more higher skilled types of jobs. You argue for regional stability. What's good for Mexico is good for the US because you get peace and democracy and end up buying more American stuff. And you argue for influence and power. Trade helps create this sort of influence and soft power. And if the US doesn't do it, someone else will. China, right? On the harms end, you talk about, or you're more focused on the short term and more local issues, right? You're more concerned about what happens now to our people. You talk about more than just jobs, about livelihoods. It's not so much or not so important to have big cars and big stuff, but a job is in a sense of identity. If a town is built around mining, losing mining means losing the identity of that town and of that people, right? Secondly, you talk about sustainable methods of production. You talk about localization. You don't want to specialize. You want countries like Mexico and like the US and communities to build their own factories and their own knowledge because you think that's more sustainable than someone coming in and building a factory and going away. And finally, you say that the influence, and you talk about influence, is mostly negative. It creates a sense of dependence on other people, and it makes people overseas look at America kind of negatively, not really very positively. Okay, so in a nutshell, that's this debate. Those are the pros and cons. Go out, do some readings, and enjoy debating.